Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. This is episode 20 of the Midlife Reset podcast. I'm Cheryl Gordon, and my mission is to educate midlife women on how to lose weight, sleep a little better, and feel stronger. And today I am so excited to welcome back Marie-Eve Knackers, who you maybe have met in a previous episode. She is my pelvic floor physiotherapist. So welcome back, Marie-Eve. It's so nice to see you again.
Hello, it's so nice to be back. Love to chat with everyone and give them all the knowledge I have.
Thank you. And just so you know, the podcast we did before, as I was saying, had almost double the readership or the watchship, whatever you call it, of some of the previous episodes, because I think we're really onto a very hot topic. So just to fill in case people didn't have a chance to watch the first podcast you and I did together, back in 2019, I was finally becoming really fed up with not being able to go places without hitting the bathroom first, fed up with losing out on doing fun things with my family and friends because I was afraid I might pee myself. So I asked around for recommendations and found Marie-Eve. And I went to see her, and she helped me understand how to create a less reactive bladder in a very holistic way. Is that your cat, Marie-Eve?
Yes, it is.
Aw.
Can you just see his tail going around? Yeah.
Often my dog comes to visit as well, but she's
Yeah.
she's busy having her supper right now.
Oh,
So
yeah. Very important time of the day.
yes, yes. So today we'll just point people to that previous podcast. I'll put the link to that in the show notes if you want to know a little bit more about the work that Marie and Eve and I did a few years ago. The upshot of it was, though, is that I do things like drive long distances, like to Florida, and I don't need to have the honey pot in the back seat anymore. The car runs out of gas before I need a bathroom. So that's cool. And I'm back to hiking, during the day with my friends and not being embarrassed that I can't make an hour or two in the bush without looking for a bush. So today we want to dive into a little bit more because I think this is what the big mystery is for people, Marie-Eve, is it's not about doing Kegel exercises.
Yeah.
It's not about having surgery or taking drugs. It's really about understanding our wiring.
Yep. Yep. Oh, that's really well said. I like that. The wiring. Yes.
Right off the top of my head like that.
Right? Yeah. So because the pelvic floor muscles is so closely linked to the autonomic nervous system. So, the autonomic nervous system, a lot of people know it as a fight or flight. So we have two kind of like the autonomic nervous system is separated in the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So your sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight. So that brings innervation, circulation to heart, lungs, and muscles. And then the parasympathetic nervous system brings the innervation and the circulation to the like all the abdominal organs and a lot of the pelvic organs. So, because the pelvic floor muscles are not a set of muscles that create movement, instead, they support the bladder, the digestive system, the reproductive system, and the lymphatic system, and it's part of our core muscles. So it works a little bit differently than, let's say, our bicep or quad, more
It's
muscles that we're
instinctive,
used to.
right? Like it comes online without us
Yeah.
having to think or plan it.
Yes, exactly. However, it can be injured.
Hmm. Like,
And
how about a couple kids?
right, exactly. Yeah, pregnancy, labor, and delivery are usually the main way that it gets injured. The more common ones. The other one, surprisingly, is constipation. Is one that will injure the pelvic floor muscles, especially when you go more in the chronic constipation, and coughing.
Coughing.
Coughing is very stressful on the pelvic floor muscles, and yeah, and its function are supposed to be driven by the autonomic nervous system. So not only can you suffer a physical injury like labor and delivery, pregnancy, coughing, constipation, but if your autonomic nervous system is always in the fight or flight, yeah, it can also overwhelm the pelvic floor muscles
Yeah.
and cause dysfunctions.
And how many of us busy women are in constant fight or flight, right?
Right? That
Yeah.
work-life balance that we can't seem to achieve, right?
Mhm.
Especially in the early years of our kids, where our needs, even if we're very aware of it and we know we're supposed to put the oxygen mask on first, we literally cannot.
Yeah, yeah, and you're right in that stage right now with young children and working
Yeah.
full time and
Oh, I'm getting out of it.
oh, are you?
Oh yeah, because my little one is 7 years old.
Ah, okay, so you're kind of, but it's still very, very busy. You're at the stage where your kids are going to be going into all the activities and
Oh
the
yes,
sports and the school
fair
stuff,
enough.
and it's a very
Yes.
intense time.
Yeah.
A lot of my listeners are in midlife, so we've kind of graduated from that. But the thing
Oh,
is even though we have options now, we're
yeah.
still stuck in that
Yes.
woo, like in our head.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
in that. Yeah, and this is where my bread and butter comes from. Is not only during that time when it is stressful, but when things are supposed to calm down, but you can feel that your body is still in that fight or flight. Yeah. And you're like, mentally, you know, you're supposed to be calm. Mentally, cognitively, you know, like, no, there's no stress, there's no lion, tigers in the room. Why am I still feeling this way?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I give exercise for the nervous system to understand that there is no tiger lion in the room and how to calm down. Yeah. And
So
that's
one of the
also your bread and butter as well.
yeah, it's kind of my jam, as we were saying. But
Yeah.
I love that you're saying all this kind of stuff because I think it's great to hear it from a number of different ways and hopefully things sink in. But one of the examples I think that you gave me when I was in therapy that might be really applicable here is you know how you're coming home, you've been out shopping or working or whatever, and you're getting your purse and everything together in the car, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta pee and I gotta pee now. And you're rushing up to your front door, you're juggling all your purse and everything, you're trying to find your keys, and you feel like you're not going to make it to the bathroom. That's the nervous system. It's not necessarily a full bladder.
No, exactly. And it's really not a bladder issue. It's and people are told, oh, you have a small bladder. No, your bladder has full capacity.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the nervous
And
system.
what is the capacity of the average bladder again, Maria?
Oh my God. Do I know on top of my head? No, I can't remember. But what I tell people is mouth to bladder is 2 hours.
Right.
That's what I tell people. So you shouldn't like if you have a glass of water. Some people they feel like they drink a glass of water and have to pee immediately. That's nervous system.
That's
The
not the actual
behavioral.
bladder.
It's not the
Yeah.
actual. It's a behavioral trigger. That's what kind of like. That's what we talked about the last time.
Yeah.
Your bladder and people know they have a glass of water and they have that urge to go. And trust me, the urge is real. And they go pee and they're like, it's just a few drops.
Yeah.
Why was
And
it so intense?
and same in the middle of the night too. People
Yes.
are getting up frequently to go pee in the night, and it's not really enough to fill half a glass of water, let alone a full glass of water.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, and the only thing they're being told is, yeah, don't drink before going to bed, which some
Which
people
we tell
do.
people to stay hydrated so they're not so stiff
Right.
in the morning when they wake up. Like their joints aren't all stiff, you know?
Yeah.
So what do you do? What do you do?
Right. So now remind me, Cheryl, did I explain how that happens with the bladder and the pelvic floor and the brain?
Let's do that again. Let's do
Yeah.
that again because I
Okay.
think it's really important stuff.
I love that story. I tell that story to everyone. So the in terms of physiology, the way urgency works is that you have two kidneys in the bladder, and between the kidneys and the bladder, it's called the ureters. So you have one on the left side, one on the right side, and you have your bladder and you have your urethra, which is bladder to the outside. And there's kind of two lines in the bladder. One line is, okay, I'm getting pretty full. I need to go to the washroom. the top line, when it gets really, really full, that's you're in a car trip and you're like, okay, it's been 3 hours. I can feel like there's no urgency, but I feel pretty uncomfortable. I should probably go pee. So the way it's supposed to work is that there's a constant drip between the ureters and the bladder. And the bladder fills up, fills up, fills up, gets to the first line. The bladder sends a message to the brain. Knock, knock. Hey, brain, it's bladder. I'm getting pretty full. Brain looks around, appreciate, well, I'm doing a podcast right now. People are listening to me. Not a good time to go pee. So then the brain sends a message to the pelvic floor. Hey, pelvic floor, could you support bladder so that way bladder can wait? Pelvic floor is no problem. Contract, closes the urethra and supports the bladder. Bladder is like, oh, cool, right on. If you're here, then I can relax. Relaxes, has more capacity, and can keep filling up. Yeah. So until you get to the really full, the real full bladder, then the bladder is going to be like, no, 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 let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. So what happens? So let's say we have the more traditional pelvic floor injury. So labor and delivery happens. Yeah, labor and delivery, perineum tear, the muscles are tired, they need to heal. So what happens is that the bladder gets full to the first line, sends a message to your brain, knock, knock, hey brain, it's bladder, I'm getting pretty full. Brain's like, well, baby is crying, I need to change the diaper, not a good time to go. Sends a message to the pelvic floor. Pelvic floor is like, dude, I'm inflamed. I'm injured. I'm so sorry, I can't do that for you. Bladder's like, okay, well, if pelvic floor is not there, can we just go pee right now? Like, I don't feel I can do this by myself. And then you go pee. And then let's say it doesn't heal properly. So again, bladder gets partially full. Send a message to your brain. Hey, knock, knock. Hey, brain, it's bladder. I'm getting pretty full. Brain's like, yeah, not a good time. Send a message to the pelvic floor. Again, pelvic floor, hey, I'm injured. Not a really good time. And then, so now you try this third time, same thing happens. After that, the bladder is like, well, every time I ask for help, you weren't there for me. And then
The pelvic floors let you down.
Yeah, it let me down. So then the bladder is, every time it gets to that point now, it just tells you to go pee. It overrides the whole brain connection.
You have a very nervous bladder now.
Yeah, now you have a nervous bladder. Yeah.
And
So,
decades, for me, decades go
yes,
by and I have the experience of leakage or the pelvic floor not being able to do its job.
yeah.
And now I'm really nervous. Now I've got shame wrapped in there.
Oh,
And
right.
yeah, and now the whole thing is all just screwed up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or you have our patients that don't get too much of a pelvic floor injury, and it's later in life they get the bladder urgency. And what happens is that the pelvic floor just gets overwhelmed by everything. So again, it is stimulated by an autonomic nervous system. So not even an injury can trigger this. Just always being in your fight or flight can cause the bladder urgency. Because what we found out is that when you go into your fight or flight, the first muscle to activate in your body is not your upper fiber traps. It's not your neck muscles. It's not your back muscles. It's your pelvic floor. So
It's an instantaneous
it's
reaction.
instant. Yeah. And you know how we
Yeah.
do that is that we film ladies watching a jump scare video.
Yeah.
So sitting in the room, whoo, something jumps out of them, and then you react, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, the first muscle you think is going to react is the eyes. Oh, you're going to blink and you're going to like move away from the screen. But they were filming the ladies and they had sensors on the pelvic floor. Even before you blink, your pelvic floor was already on.
So instantaneously.
Instantaneous, on involuntarily.
And it doesn't have to be a jump scare video that makes your stress system. I mean, it can be someone looks sideways at you at work.
Yes.
You feel fat in your clothes today.
Yes.
You almost get cut off in traffic. You have to ask your boss for a day off and you're nervous about that. You're worried about a credit card bill. You know, Your barking dog. I mean, there's repeated everything. It's going to fire that.
Yeah. And even good stress will
Mhm.
fire it. So
Like
let's say you're one,
travel,
like
tardiness.
travel. Yes. Yeah. That's good stress. We like it,
Yeah,
but
but that's why
it's
people get
stressful.
constipated when they travel, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The other one that I use all the time is sports games. Your
Hmm.
your team is winning. You're all excited. But you're like, oh my God, are we gonna win? Are we gonna win? Is something's gonna happen? Your pelvic floor is on, is already contracted.
So this brings us back to Kegel exercises, which are commonly talked about
Yes.
amongst us women. But this is why, for a lot of us, Kegels are not the way to go.
Yeah, because you're just gonna bring even you're already kegling all day, right? Because you're stuck in that like fight or flight. So then
Mhm.
you give even more kegels, it's not gonna do anything or make the symptoms worse.
Right, right.
Yeah. Hopefully you're in the beginner group of like, oh, it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah,
Because then after that, especially if they make it worse, after that you think that like nothing's gonna help you.
yeah, yeah. And
Uh,
this is why an individual exam can be, like you said before, is the gold standard for care because as the physiotherapist, you can make an evaluation as to how much hypertonic
yes.
tissue is there in the pelvic floor and what needs release.
Yes, exactly. And then once that's confirmed, how to teach you how to release.
And then how do we do that, Marie-Ève?
Breath work,
I love it.
right? Yes, it's fabulous because the breath work, what happens is that it taps into both pieces of the pelvic floor. The fact that the diaphragm itself is a huge muscle that is right on top of the pelvic floor. So what happens to the diaphragm? The pelvic floor has to react. So they literally like the diaphragm will stretch your pelvic floor. That's in like your biomechanics books.
Basic.
But it also gets you from your sympathetic nervous system into your parasympathetic nervous system. So not only like in terms of biomechanics that is relaxed the pelvic floor, but it also down trains your nervous system and even more has an impact on relaxation, general relaxation of the body. Uh,
In yoga, we often see, Marie-Ève, what we call reverse breathers. And I'll just sit up for a second so you can see my belly and you'll get this. But I
yep.
see people when they breathe in, they go,
Right?
when they relax. This is a stress type of breathing.
It
So that is
is.
going to totally screw up the
Yeah.
reaction of the pelvic floor. It's going to confuse it like crazy, right?
Yeah. And even could increase the tone again
Hmm.
the muscles. So it's yeah. And there's different type of breathing. And if you've been taught one type of breathing and that doesn't work for you, trust me, there's about another 10 types of breath work that you can do that can help you.
Yeah.
But definitely the most researched one is yoga.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
which is, we just try to teach what you were talking about is like when the diaphragm moves down into the abdomen on the inhale,
Yeah.
allow the pelvic floor to relax.
Yeah.
And then when the diaphragm retracts back up into the rib cage on the exhale, the pelvic floor diaphragm should naturally float up with that action. The
Exactly.
same thing, very gentle, just awareness.
Yes. Yeah, it's the awareness piece. And it's just bringing that, like, even just purposely say, I'm going to take a breath in and see what happens around my vagina
Mhm.
is sometimes all it takes to release it. Sometimes it takes a lot more than that. Hence, for why we do the internal.
Right.
But just knowing that I'm going to, with purpose, take a breath and reach all the way down into my pelvis, all the way down to my vagina. And yeah, deep, a good, like grounded, rooted breath. Yeah, nothing up here because up here,
No, chest breathing is not helping us. Um,
it further increases the sympathetic nervous
and I just
response.
want to say that when you and I first started working together, even though what you were talking about is I understood as a yoga therapist, I believed in it 100%. When I laid down in this room, because I used to do my exercises in this room right here, and I would have to do 10 deep breaths or 10 pelvic tilts or cat cows or whatever, I just was sweating. I was so
right?
inherently resistant because my pelvic floor had been locked into survival mode. And when you were asking me to relax and just really feel that relaxation, it felt very unsafe. I had to overcome a lot of resistance to the exercises at first.
And there is definitely like when it comes to, especially when it comes to pain, but we can definitely talk about or bladder injury comes in that. But there's a physical response, but there's also an emotional response. And it's
Hmm.
very, very common that my patients will go home once they actually have a proper release, that they just find themselves crying for
Hmm.
no reason. Well, feels like no reason.
But it's very significant what's going on. The
Ooh,
emotion.
when people tell me this, I'm like, amazing. It won't come back.
Yeah,
If you, but it's like you said, it's not, it's not something that most people can do by themselves. They do need that support to get
yeah.
there.
And
Yeah.
that education around what's going
Yeah.
on. Marie-Eve, we could talk forever. This is so fascinating, but I do thank you so much for sharing your expertise. I will put your website in the show notes because you do virtual consultations.
Yep.
So if someone's not in the Ottawa, Ontario area, they can still access your expertise. And I'm also offering a free 1 hour yoga class as part of this podcast. So you can access the link to that in the show notes. And it's all the stuff that Marie-Eve taught me, incorporated into a gentle yoga movement.
Oh my God, that's so generous, Cheryl.
Oh, I'm happy to do it. We just have to get all the vaginas out there, all the
Right?
pelvic floors out there back into fighting form.
Right? Yeah, ready. Yeah, on the ready.
So thanks, Marie-Eve. It's so wonderful talking to you.
Yeah, have a good day. Yeah.